So I have here the event director of the 2023 Kempton Gunmakers Fair, John Dewald, and he's going to tell us a little bit about the fair and what's all going on here.
So what we're trying to do here is to carry on 37 years of tradition that was started by Chuck Dixon and his family, and we've expanded it to include a living history area, a demonstration area, and of course we're keeping up with the seminars and the accoutrements and the gun judging. And our hope is to direct more educational driven material to keep the muzzleloading culture alive. Our living history areas has already doubled from last year, and we also brought in living history demonstrators. We have everything from a shoemaker to a spoon carver to a blacksmith and a tape weaver.
So do you have in, say, 10 years, what would you like to see the show looking like?
4 organizations that have sponsored and run this event the last 2 years can move forward in forming an individual entity called the 18th Century Educational Alliance, that we can do more than one event if possible. We would like to educate young children in the trades of the 18th and 19th century. There used to be a thing called a gunmaker's match, where if you build a gun, you would go to a certain location and you would see how well your gun measured up against another builder. We'd like to bring that back. Have reenactors come and have a skirmish, show people what it was like on the frontier. All of these things, just educational driven, and even have an event that just holds seminars all day long, so that people can learn what they want to learn and pick the brain of these wonderful artisans that are out there talking.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing I always, at the show, I'm trying to walk around, I get talking to someone, miss a seminar, and, that's kind of a downside, but...
Right. I mean, it's nice to have it all grouped together, but yeah, if you can just focus on one thing at a time, yeah, you probably get more information out of it. And I think it's important. I mean, I started doing this when I was 7 years old. You were very young when you started, and now look at us.
Yeah.
We're ready to pass it on to the younger generations, and I think that is the most important thing.
And then, I mean, it does worry me when I see the age of some of these events.
Right.
And we gotta have...
It's happening through many different cultures and organizations, and we call it aging out. So my hope is, with this event and with future events, that we can still gain the interest of young people to carry it on into the future, because this culture cannot pass away into history.
And one thing I heard is you guys are now, I was talking to Ethan, the other YouTuber, you guys are now also starting a YouTube channel for us?
Yes, our plans are to start up a YouTube channel and feature videos from the event. Right now, anything that is available can be found on our website, which is www.gunmakersfair.com. And if there's any questions or concerns that people would like to address, they're more than welcome to give me a call, my contact, or send me an email. My contact information is on the website.
Thanks.
You're most welcome. Thanks for having me again.
You're welcome. So, I want to give a shout out to all the volunteers. I have 2 of them right here, and there's a couple other, and you have the people who park cars, clean the porta potties, take out trash, some that I'm not even thinking of that allow this show to function, setting it up. There's a lot of work that goes into it behind the scenes, and I want to give all the people who are involved that a shout out, because without them the show wouldn't happen. When you come to the Kempton Gunmakers Fair, you gotta remember to swing by Dixons Muzzleloading shop, only a few miles away. They were the family that started the Gunmakers Fair and ran it for a long period of time. And, they a couple years ago decided that it was time to pass on the torch, and now this new group of organizations that decide to pick it up and continue the tradition. But they're still a great store, and be sure to give them your business.
Okay, you ready?
Yep.
Okay, I'm James Fulmer, past president of the National Muzzling Rifle Association, and we started to when the Gunmakers Fair at Dixons came to an end about 3 years ago after COVID, shut down 2 years for COVID, and they were going to start up. For 4 groups got together, the National Muzzling Rifle Association was the first one to took the initiative, and called me up first and said, the Dixons Gunmakers Fair is canceled, and what are we going to do about it? And basically, I said nothing, and then they called up Dave Eric, and they got him. And next thing you know, Dave got after me, and we all came together, and we contacted all nonprofit groups to get it started. And it started out with the National Muzzling Rifle Association. Then we got the Pennsylvania Federation of Black Powder Shooters, the Honorable Company of Horners, and the Jacobsburg Historical Society. They all came together and put on this event, and it takes a lot of volunteers and it's a lot of work. It's a big event, and the National Muzzling Rifle Association, what they supply is a lot of expertise because they do big events, and they were a big help. And we do quite well. We've had this event. Turns out about almost 3,000 people come to this event over a period of 3 days, and it's just a nice show. And if you want to see something, also the president of the National Muzzling Rifle Association comes here. Matter of fact, the president of the Pennsylvania Federation of Black Powder Shooters, president of the Honorable Company of Horners comes here, and this is almost like the who's who in muzzling is at the attend this event. Some of the finest gun builders are here, and some of the finest artisans, and you have to come out and see it. It's always the last full weekend in July, and hope to see you here next year.
Thank you.
Jeff Warner. I'm the president of the Pennsylvania Federation of Black Powder Shooters. We run the state championship every year. In order to pay for the state championship, we sell memberships, and what you get with the membership is this shoot book. So this shoot book has the shoot dates and locations of 30 of our charter clubs. Along with membership, you get the book, you get a quarterly newsletter, and then you also get that membership fee also covers your entry fee in the state championship. This year, this year's our 40th anniversary, so we're doing some special stuff at the state championship. Saturday evening for members, we're doing a pig roast, and we're having a band play, and we're also raffling a Kibler Southern Mountain kit. We are about out of raffle tickets, but we may have some left over at the state shoot, so come check us out.
My name's Al Picotti. I'm the president of Jacobsburg Historical Society. We got involved with the Gunmakers Fair last year. There were 4 organizations. There was us, there was the National Muzzleloaders Rifle Association, right, and 2 other groups, the Horners Association. We were the sponsors of the event, right, doing that again this year, and we will be doing that again next year. Jacobsburg Historical Society has been in operation for 51 years now. Last year was our 50th anniversary. We have one of the original founders over here, Joe DiGirolando. Right? He's been with Jacobsburg since the very early days, since 1972, I recall. Okay. We keep the story of the Henry family alive. The Henrys were a very enterprising family. They've been building rifles since the 1780s, right? In Lancaster and Nazareth and Philadelphia, all over the place. They moved to the Jacobsburg area because they were thrown out of Nazareth because the Moravians didn't like the fact that he was proof testing barrels on Sunday mornings when they were trying to go to church. So they suggested that he move out in the woods someplace, and he did. Found the property out there at Bolton and set up out there. They built a gun factory, built a dam to get the water power to power the factory. Later on, they put in a grist mill. They built a Catherine furnace, so they started making stoves and firebacks. They took ice off of the pond and sold the ice in the wintertime, and they also had some holdings in the anthracite areas of Wilkes-Barre, Scranton.
So, yeah, and if you go to one of their events, it is, if you like early American history, the amount of education you can get to go see the site, go to,
Yep.
you know, because they have all the different ice saws, gun building, the blacksmith, all that is there. I went to one last year and it was a very enjoyable time.
The one thing about our site is that 99% of the items that are there are original to the site. All the furnishings, all the china, all the silverware, all the dresses that are on display in the 1832 J.J. Henry house were all left there by 5 generations of the Henry family that lived in that building. So it's something that you don't find anyplace else. You know, even the real big museums, they're always getting donations from people to bring things in, right? We have everything that was there when the Henry family was living there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great place to go to and very enjoyable.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Chris Plizzi. I'm current guild master for the Honorable Company of Horners, and I'm super excited to see the turnout for this weekend's event. We had a lot of people come through our tent to learn more about hornworking and our guild in general. We also had a lot of people just coming through the event, getting to look at all the vendors, living history, everything we have to offer. Definitely invite everyone to check out our website, hornguild.org. So our display this weekend focuses on turning horn. How do you turn horn? What you can do with turned horn. And really, the projects are endless. There's so many things you can do, whether it's contemporary or something that's more traditional. But here in the Horn Guild, we're just focusing on using horn as a medium and how we can learn from it. You learn from the past and also create new items for the future.
You know, like one of the common projects with turn horn is a screw tip. You have that, and they also will turn cups and things like that, all sorts of different items that can be done by using a lathe. And after this, I will have the video of the lathe being used. And thank you.
No problem.
So here we have Eric Hornerman turning a piece on a spring pull lathe. Now this was built by Dixons, probably, I'm going to say 10 years ago by now. Maybe not quite.
2002.
Okay, so yeah, 11 years ago. And he used to have it out at the Gunmakers Fair when it was at Dixons. And then he has taken over in the demonstration. From mine, he moved, correct?
Mr. Dick is living down in South Carolina now.
And, you know, he does the demonstrations for the Honorable Company of Horners booth. And this is how all your turn plugs used to be made. So he's able to, in this case, make the walnut plug for it, for the horn.
Right now we're turning a taper. That's going to be fitting inside of the plug.
So yeah, there's a PCRA turn. It's screwed onto a face plate, and then you have a mandrel here, and that goes down to a foot pedal, and then you have a spring system, and the leather, as that goes up and down, spins the mandrel, and that allows it to work the plug. And then he'll have other ones, face plates like that one, and he's actually able to turn the end of the horn round. And then if he's making a screw tip, he'll actually put the tip in, mount on the lathe, and turn the tip round to cut the threads for the screw tip. You know, very neat process and pretty cool piece to see on display. And they work pretty good. You know, they're not as quick as your Grizzly Electric, but it's a lot more peaceful, a lot more enjoyable. So, thanks for doing the demonstration. I appreciate talking to you.
Thanks for stopping by.
So this is rifling a barrel at the Kempton Gunmakers Fair. So there's the cutter. That's what does the cutting. Gets pulled through.
When I was a little kid, I was in it all. I remember Doc Harvey.
You gotta get the chips off it and get it lubricated for it to work properly.
I'm gonna hit the restrooms.
Yeah, I'll be. Actually, that may be a good idea.
So how many passes does it take to rifle a barrel?
About 3,000.
If you had to guess your time, if you were doing it straight.
10 to 12 hours.
Okay. This is how they originally did it. And slow process, but that's what they had. The way you get your twist is that these pieces of wood are...
Right, they go through the grooves here. See, they go through these grooves. See, we have little square notches, and that's what gives it the
twist.
Yeah.
And yeah, it rides along a little sled here.
Right.
And I mean, one of the tricks would be getting them at the right.
Yeah, there's a mathematical formula to do that, and I don't have it. I can't pass that on to you.
So, very neat process, and you know, allowed them to get barrels that were more accurate and shoot better. So this is how they index it. You got a plate and it has holes and numbers, and that rotates the whole barrel. Pretty simple mechanism, but effective. And here's some wheel locks. They are guns that I've been fascinated with since I was at a very young age. And one of these days I'm gonna have one. One of these days.
You've been coming here a little heavy.
is Anita Vincenti. I'm the sales manager with Goex Industries, and we are the only manufacturer of authentic black powder in North America, and we are back in production.
So, the question everyone's asking, you've probably been asked 100 times, when can I expect Goex to be in my local sporting goods store?
We have, of course, we have a military obligation that we have to fulfill. We are working through that, and if everything goes to schedule, then we should be able to switch to sporting powder and begin shipping to our distributors now by the end of August. You know, there's a lot of ifs in there. You know, we do have to get through this military obligation, but we're working through that now.
Okay. So, possibly September, October?
Yes, sir. Yes,
okay.
Sir.
That's, yeah, so how has been the transition through the sale? And
it's gone extremely well. You know, we were bought by Estes Energetics, and they are the DoD side of Estes Industries, and of course Estes Industries is a model rocket company that many people know since the 1950s. And one of the things we found through this transition is from our customer base, a lot of them shot model rockets as a kid, and so that was, so we're going to work with that crossover.
That was a school project in middle school. We made model rockets, and the teacher, he was into that, and he had us, we got to fire them off in the parking lot, actually.
Yeah, nice. Nice.
So, a question that, do they have a lot of the, you said that you went through the transition, you were with them originally, so are a lot of the engineers and stuff still the same?
Actually, we got an influx of engineers with Estes Energetics buying us. There's some brilliant minds.
Absolutely.
And,
Thank you.
It's a skill set that we probably haven't had since maybe DuPont.
Wow. Now, so the quality, is that going to be same or maybe even better?
I would say, yeah, definitely the same, if anything better.
Okay.
It's been a long road, but it's been a good road.
And that's, you know, I work in manufacturing, not black powder. I mean, because I've heard people complain about the delays, and manufacturing's a complicated business, you know. And there's been times where they want me to have something done by Monday, and then my machine breaks, you know, so.
You have man and machine, and you know, sometimes things don't go as planned.
You know, but I'm just so happy that, because that's, you know, my grandfather, he still has the DuPont labeled cans, you know, so that's, he's always been, you know, nothing against your neighbors here, the Schuetzen, which I've shot that, it shot fine, you know, but we've liked the American Goex, and
we appreciate that, and we appreciate them for having kept black powder.
Yeah.
You know, kept our customers supplied while we were down.
And that's, I mean, it's always good to have multiple sources, and
choice is good.
Yes. You know, and I appreciate what you guys are doing, keeping this sport alive, because if you don't have a source of black powder, you can't do the hobby.
Right. We appreciate you guys, really do, for your loyalty and your continued support and your patience.
Yes, and thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So here we have the Schuetzen and Swiss powder booth. Schuetzen is a German company. Swiss is made in Switzerland. You know, they are two great black powder companies, along with Goex, the American-made company. And they did a great job keeping us supplied with black powder through when Goex was shut down. And yeah, they're good quality powder, and I've used them before, and they've worked great. And I appreciate them sponsoring the Gunmakers Fair. Here you have the Davis Lock Company. They make all sorts of great stuff here. Some good locks. Triggers, their set triggers are some of the best. You know, they also sell flints. You know, check them out. So I'm here at the Chambers Lock booth, and they are one of the best makers of flint locks. If you've seen my videos, and I've had people comment on how quick my ignition time, a lot of that is due to the quality of the lock they make. So I'd like to say a little bit about the history.
Hi, I'm Barbie Chambers. Jim Chambers is my father. I have been at this for 20 years. Dad's been at it for 60, and we do everything to the top, best quality, and love to talk to people and have conversations about living history.
And now, if a lot of people heard about the Seiler locks, they're the ones who make them, and they also make a lot of good models. The Golden Age is what, if you've seen some of my videos, my Beck rifle that I'm building, that's what I am using on that. You know, great locks, great company, very great to deal with. You know, one time I had you know, if you ever have questions about them, they're very good to work with if you need to send something back or whatever. You know, great company, great quality lock.
So this year here being it's our second year, you know, the weather's been a little bit hot here in eastern Pennsylvania, so we had a pretty good showing on Friday and Saturday, a little light today, but we're down a little bit on the the guns that are entered for judging. So we had 23 rifles and pistols entered this year. Talking with the guys on the accoutrement side, also they're a little bit down, but it seemed like some people brought some stuff up. I think last year we were flooded with little extra guns and stuff because we had been in a 3-year hiatus, so people had stuff that they built over 3 years and then brought it. So could be the economy, you know. There is a lot of shows that are going on. I know the CLA is like 11 days away, so people pick and choose where they can go, you know, based on you know, financial abilities. But we had a great turnout of, I do believe this year we had better quality work. I can guarantee you that, because it shows, and even the other judges, Matt and Carl, both agreed with me that the quality was definitely stepped up from the previous year. So we had about 4 or 5 guns in the apprentice, but we had like 9 or 10 in the journeyman. So it was good to see that those guys brought stuff back. We had about 5 or 6 guns, I think, in the master, and of course there's, you know, 4 or 5 of those that really stand out as exceptional work. After judging, you know, for almost 30 years, you kind of see work that other, you know, makers have made, and you kind of realize, you know, who made this or who not. We're kind of stumped on some stuff this year. We really thought that somebody made something. So usually after we judge them and we do the critique papers and we put the ribbons on, sometimes we peek a little under the tape to see the name on the barrel. You know, we try to do that to keep everything anonymous. We were dumbfounded when we found out that the person that made 2 guns we thought somebody else made didn't make it. And we were stumped one year before like that when Art DeCamp entered a firearm. It was a rifle. I think it was a copy of a, can't remember who it was now. It might have been a John Armstrong rifle, I think it was. And we were blown away because we had no idea who built it. And that's what we really look for, is we try to, you know, we want the makers to stump us, you know, so we don't know who really made it. But the engraving, the people who took the chance to engrave and carve and stuff like that really stepped it up. There was guns that should have gotten a ribbon in years past that didn't get a ribbon this year, simply because there was more guns in that class that we felt that work was better. But unlike the accoutrement side, where they only give away 1 ribbon as what they call judge's choice, and that's like first class work. So if they have an item in that, whether it's cutlery or decorated horn or undecorated horn or horn object or something like that, they only give it if they agree, the judges agree that it's first quality work. Where in the gun side, we give away usually a first, second, or third. That's not always given though. We always, you know, if there's like 3 guns or 4 guns that have engraving out of 6 or 7 guns in apprentice, and only 1 or 2 of them have engraving, if we don't feel it's like first quality engraving or second, we may just award like a third place ribbon. Same goes with carving, incised or raised carving. And then we don't always give away best of class. We had only one gun that was traditional, and the rest were contemporary. So we were able only to give, we combined them together and just gave one for best of class, which was combined. Same with best of show. We only gave one best of show ribbon. And we have the, obviously this is our second year, we had the Rich Hoyes Award, which is for the best representation of the Pennsylvania long rifle. Again, this year we don't have a gun that really speaks to us and says this is something that Rich would have built or would have liked, or has a soul, that Rich would have been in his honor. So we don't have another winner for that year. That's a special ribbon also. So hopefully, this gets out there. We really want somebody to build a Pennsylvania long rifle, or a Schimmel, or a barn gun or a buck and ball, something like that from Pennsylvania. And it has meaning, it doesn't have to be decorated, it just has to have a soul that if you know Rich, and that's why we did this year. We had the Rich Hoyes Memorial where we had in the brochure, it told you a little bit about Rich's history in the past and give you an idea of, what we're looking for. Typically on the accoutrement side, they have the Madison Grant Award, which is for an object where it could be a bag and horn or horn and bag, it could be a knife and cutlery, or it could be an object, a horn. But it has to warrant that's something that Madison would have wanted in his personal collection. And that's what they usually give that award for. And then there's obviously the Tom Ames Award, and it's pretty close to the Madison Grant, but it's something that's maybe more folky or something like that. If you've ever had a chance to sit down and talk with Mr. Ames, he's a wealth of knowledge, whether it's Masonic or whether it's, Eastern Pennsylvania or Amish or something like that, has some type of connection. It's just, he's a very interesting person to talk to, and his stories are true, I can tell you. I've sat with him many, many hours. And that's pretty much it. I mean, that's...
it's always, I always enjoy entering stuff. I did not enter a rifle this year because I got sidetracked on other projects, but...
That's like all of us, yeah.
Next year I'm hoping to have something, so.
Like I tell people, we wouldn't exist if the public and the builders and stuff wouldn't come. Now the show is set up that has a little bit of for everybody. It has, you have your reenacting areas now. You have your outside hands-on type stuff. You have the inside. You have all your traders. So if you're looking for parts and you're looking to build a rifle, everything is here to do it. You can come and get it here. You don't have to pay shipping and handling and all that kind of stuff. You can pick really what you want. You have barrels, locks, stock wood. All the furniture is here. You can pick and choose what you want. Build a rifle over the winter. Come back next year because, like I said, we really want people to come and enter stuff. We're more of a learning thing. This is what this is really about, is learning. So your critique paper, take it back, read it. We stick around after here on Sunday, and we, if you have any questions about what your critique paper says, we show you those areas and stuff. Now, usually when you come and enter a gun, the gun's already finished. So we do have where some people bring things in different stages of being built. The problem with gun building is usually by the time you do something, you've already made that mistake. There is ways to repair it or correct it, and we can help you. But you really, it's a mentoring thing, you know what I mean, where if you get into gun making, and that's why it's set up as an apprentice, journeyman, and master. So it's multi-years. It's hard to say somebody to work on a gun and bring it back each year at different stages and then to finally have an outcome. It would take years to do that. So usually by the time you make a gun and you move up through the different branches, you should read your critique paper. It kind of gives you an idea what areas are flat, what areas aren't egg-shaped, burnishing brass versus, a buffing wheel, things like that. So there's, and form and fit is also too. So you obviously want the metal pieces to look like they're growing out of the stock, and the carving looks like it's growing out of the stock versus sitting on it. It has to have feel and movement. So,
and that's something that I do think is great about this show, though, is if you need a mentor, so many of these builders out here, are willing to help you. That's how You know, with me and Nate McKenzie, I took a rifle to him. He pretty much told me it wasn't the best. Bring it to my shop. He helped me fix that one up.
Right.
And then we built another one together, and that made my rifle building skill go up considerably.
It sure will.
And this show, if that's something you're looking for, this show's a great place to get to know someone, talk to them, find them. And most of them are willing to help.
Yeah, most of the people that you see that have booths here have gone through this over the past, say, 35 or 40 years. And, you know, they got into muzzleloading as builders and stuff like that, and now they own businesses, you know. And they build rifles professionally or as a hobby also, you know, as a second job. So you know, that's the one thing about this sport is what if you did, all you need to do is ask, and they'll tell you. You know what I mean? So help you along. And if you don't want to enter a gun to be judged, you can always talk to one of the. We have, like, I think 74 vendors here this year. Out of those 74 vendors, probably half of them are actually gun makers or gun builders themselves, and they are some of the best in the world. You know, definitely in the United States. So, but come on out and you know, enjoy the 3 days. We're here Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and usually it's typical Eastern Pennsylvania, July. Last weekend, July, August, hot weather, but today's actually a beautiful day out there, maybe about 70-something degrees. Yesterday was about 80, but today, unfortunately, Friday was like 98 degrees, 100% humidity, but it's what it is. And like I said, everybody sticks around and we have fun. It's a great group. The long rifle culture is a great group to get into, whether you get into long rifles or powder horns or bags or cutlery, you know, knives or tomahawks. We have a little bit of everything here for everybody to enjoy.
Yeah, and there's very few tribal knowledge. Everyone's willing to share things, from my experience, you know.
Yep.
So you see something on someone's table and you ask them how they do it, most of the time they will sit down with you, and
they will.
You know, and that's what I love about it, and you know, great way to learn.
I think that's why the longevity, you know, when it started out at Dixons Gunmakers Fair, that was Chuck's vision. And, you know, it was a learning thing, and it's grew. And then once the family decided to retire from it, and then we took a year off or so, decided we had so many people were calling saying, what's going on? We want it, we have to have this, we have to have it. And luckily there was a good core group of people who got together and said, we need to get this started back up again, and here we are in our second year. First year was very successful. This year I think it's very successful also, and let's see, we have a third year booked for here already, so last full weekend in July we're going to be back here in Kempton, Pennsylvania for, you know, the Gunmakers, the 30th annual Kempton Gunmakers Fair at Kempton. So
here we have Mountain Muzzleloading. So he does cast parts, he also does stock profiling and sells other parts. His castings are some of the best quality castings out there. You know, very easy to work with, very good quality, and a good portion of them are replicated from originals. You know, great quality. He's a great guy, Dave there, and you know, I buy a lot of parts from the Rice barrel set. They make some of the best barrels around. You know, a lot of my guns have their barrels on them, most of them. I put in an order for one at this year's show. Good quality barrels, all sorts of different designs. They have complete round, you know, partially round, smooth bores, swamp, straight barrels, pistol barrels, and they also make tools like those vice jaws and a breech plug wrench, which really nice. You know, and they'll even, if you want something a little bit oddball, they'll even work with you on that. So yeah, probably some of the best barrels around. Here we have one of several blacksmiths here. They've been doing a lot of blacksmithing, you know, forging different projects. They had the barrel forging earlier, not here, a different forge, which is great.
Let me clear something. Hi, I'm Chuck Faust with the Pennsylvania State Regiment, also known as the Donegal Township Riflemen. We represent American riflemen from the American Revolution. The regiment was formed in 1776 and it transitioned into the Pennsylvania State Regiment officially in 77. From that point on, they were transitioned into the 13th Pennsylvania Regiment and then ultimately ended up as the 2nd PA. They started out their existence with 2 rifle battalions and 1 battalion of musket men under the command of Colonel Samuel Miles. Ultimately, he was captured at the Long Island Campaign in 1776, and the regiment came under the command of Colonel Stewart, who was a young Irishman who was an immigrant who came into Philadelphia in 77. So under his command, the regiment transitioned into. We're looking for new recruits. If anyone is interested, they can contact me at bandofothers@yahoo.com. With the nation's 250th anniversaries coming up in 2025 through 2031, we're looking for anyone who might be interested in reenacting the War for American Independence. So feel free to contact me. We have currently 32 members and we're always looking for more. We're family oriented. Women and children are welcome. We also have a Dragoon regiment attached to us, the 4th Light Infantry Continental Dragoons. We have 9 mounts. If anyone is interested who has a mount and wishes to participate, they can also participate as American Dragoons. So I hope to see you. Thank you very much.
And thanks for coming out to this show and providing some entertainment and some education.
Thank you very much for your time. And again, you can contact me at bandofothers@yahoo.com. Not Band of Brothers, but bandofothers@yahoo.com. Thank you very much.
Here we have Adam Daub, and he is the coolest person because he makes spears. So if you need a spear, go check out Adam Daub's 18th Century Arms.